안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 잠시 후 2020 평창평화포럼 개회식이 시작될 예정입니다. 장례가 혼잡하오니 개회식장 안으로 들어오셔서 참가자 여러분께서는 자리에 착석해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 또 오늘 행사의 원활한 진행을 위해 소지하고 계신 휴대전화는 매너 모드로 전화를 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony of the Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020 will begin in a minute or two. I would like to kindly ask all of the participants to take their seats. And once again, a kind reminder to turn off your mobile phones or switch it to the silent mode. 네, 본 행사에서는 동시 통역 서비스가 제공되고 있습니다. 여러분, 테이블 위에 놓여있는 통역 수신기를 이용을 하시면 되고요. 한국어는 1번, 영어는 2번입니다. 또한 좌석에 비치된 LED 스틱은 개회식 퍼포먼스에 사용되는 소품입니다. 퍼포먼스가 진행될 때 모든 분들께서 함께 참여를 해주셨으면 합니다. 개회식이 끝나고 퇴장하실 때에는 통역 수신기와 함께 좌석에 놓고 가주시면 되겠습니다. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, simultaneous interpretation will be provided throughout the program. For English, it is channel 2 on your receivers. Also, on your table, you will find an LED stick. We will be using this LED stick during the opening ceremony performance. So once the ceremony is over, please leave the LED sticks and the interpretation receivers on the table where you found them. 네, 오늘 식선에 대해서 간단히 안내를 드리도록 하겠습니다. 공식 프로그램으로는 개화사와 환영사 그리고 축사에 이어 2024 강원 동계 청소년 올림픽 및 개회 퍼포먼스가 진행이 되며 또 개회식에 이어서 반기문 제8대 유엔 사무총장님과 그로 할렘 브룬틀란트 전 노르웨이 총리님의 기조 연설과 함께 구닐라 린드버그, 짐 로저스, 이미경, 헤럴드 존스 공동위원장님의 평화의 대화가 이어질 예정입니다. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to briefly introduce you to today's proceedings. The official program will begin with opening speech, welcoming speech, and congratulatory speeches, and then we will have a special opening performance. After the opening performance, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, and Gro Harlem Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, will deliver the keynote speeches. Following the keynote speech, the co-presidents of the forum, Ms. Gunilla Lindberg, Mr. Jim Rogers, Ms. Lee Mi-kyung, and Mr. Harold Jones, will engage in a leaders' dialogue on peace. 네, 평화대화에 참석하시기로 예정되어 있었던 호세 라모스 전 동티모르 대통령님께서는 자국 내 사정으로 인해 안타깝게도 불참하게 되셨습니다. 당초 계획되었던 평화 지도자의 대화는 포럼의 4개 주제를 대표하시는 각 공동위원장님께서 참석하시는 평화의 대화로 진행될 예정입니다. 끝까지 자리를 함께 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. Due to urgent matters at home, Jose Ramos Horta, the former president of Timor-Leste, unfortunately cannot join us, and accordingly, we have changed the format of the program. The four co-chairs representing different themes of this forum will engage in a dialogue on peace. We look forward to your active participation and interest. Thank you. 네, 다시 한번 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 본 포럼에서는 도시통역 서비스가 제공이 되고 있습니다. 여러분 앞에 놓이는 통역 수신기를 이용하시면 되고요. 한국어는 채널 1번, 영어는 채널 2번입니다. 또 좌석에 비치되어 있는 LED 스틱은 개회식 퍼포먼스에 사용되는 소품인데요. 지금 많은 분들께서 이 LED 스틱의 전원을 켜고 계시는데요. 이 LED 스틱은 저희가 원격에서 제어를 합니다. 그렇기 때문에 LED 스틱이 지금 다 모두 제대로 작동을 하고 있으니까요. 크게 걱정하지 않으셔도 됩니다. 네, 그래서 다시 한번 말씀을 드리겠습니다. LED 스틱은 저희가 모두 원격에서 제어를 해서 나중에 퍼포먼스를 진행을 할 때는 모두 밝게 불이 들어올 것입니다. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, there are LED sticks on the table. These LED sticks are remotely controlled. So even if your stick does not light up right now, there is not going to be any problem because during the ceremony, we will make sure that the lights come on. Thank you. 네, 잠시 후 개회식이 진행되겠습니다. 아직 장내에 자리하지 않으신 분들께서는요, 자리에 착석해 주시기 바랍니다. 또 아울러 이곳에 모인 많은 내빈 여러분께서는 잠시 후 있을 모든 행사에서 뜨거운 박수와 또 환호로 축하해 주시기 바랍니다. 특히 평화의 대화 시간에서는 참가자분들께서도 직접 참여할 수 있는 시간도 마련이 되어 있습니다. 지금 화면에 보이는 QR코드를 촬영을 하시거나 또 URL로 들어가시면은 자유롭게 여러분의 질의를 또 올리실 수가 있습니다. 이런 저명한 리더들이 이제 질문을 보시고 답변을 해주실 텐데요. 여러분의 적극적인 참여 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다. Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony will begin momentarily. During the dialogue on peace, we will provide the participants with the opportunity to post their questions. Please scan the QR code that you see here on the screen, or you can access our website to post your questions. We look forward to your active participation. Thank you. 네, 지금 2020 평창평화포럼 개회식을 위해 귀한 발걸음을 해주신 내외 귀빈분들께서 입장을 하고 계십니다. 여러분, 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수로 환영을 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 안녕하십니까. 2020 평창평화포럼의 개회식의 진행을 맡은 이주입니다. 네, 감사합니다. 2020 평창평화포럼에 참석하신 모든 분들께 따뜻한 환영과 또 감사 인사를 드립니다. 특히 이번 평창평화포럼은 한국전쟁 발발 70주년을 맞이하여 한반도에서 더 이상 평화의 실현을 미룰 수 없다라는 절실한 인식 아래 평화체제로의 전환을 위한 구체적인 실천 방안들을 검토하고 또 논의할 예정입니다. 3일간 진행되는 포럼에서는 국내외 정명한 인사들과 또 전문가들과 함께하는 세션들을 비롯하여 평화의 의미를 되새길 수 있는 또 다채로운 무대 행사가 마련이 되어 있습니다. 여러분의 적극적인 참여와 또 관심 부탁드립니다. 지금 이곳에서 우리 모두가 평화의 가치를 함께 또 느끼고 공유할 수 있는 의미 있는 시간이 되었으면 합니다. 네, 그러면은 2020 평창평화포럼의 개회식을 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 먼저 이 자리를 빛내주시기 위해 참석해주신 내외기빈 여러분을 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 한 분 한 분 소개해드릴 때마다 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해주시기 바랍니다. 먼저 반기문 제8대 UN 사무총장님께서 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 어서 오십시오. 그로할렘 브룬틀란드 전 노르웨이 총리님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 김현철 통일부 장관님이십니다. 이정욱 여성가족부 장관님이십니다. 최윤희 문화체육관광부 제2차관님이십니다. 네, 파브리지오 혹쉴드 UN 사무총장 부장관님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 다음으로는 2020 평창평화포럼 조직위원회 공동위원장님 네 분을 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 구닐라 린드버그 공동위원장이십니다. 네, 짐 로저스 공동위원장이십니다. 헤럴드 존스 공동위원장이십니다. 네, 이미경 공동위원장이십니다. 네, 다음은 아트 린슬리 GILPP 위원님이십니다. 네, 어서 오십시오. Welcome, sir. 네, 이반 디보스 IOC 위원님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 버나드 라즈만 IOC 위원님께서도 또 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. Welcome, sir. 네, 이범 전 평창 동계올림픽 조직위원장님이십니다. 네, 유승민 2018 평창 기념재단 이사장님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 그리고 크리스토퍼 힐 전 미 아트 차관부님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 강금실 전 법무부 장관님이십니다. 네, 김원영 강원대학교 총장님께서도 또 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 그 외에도 정말 많은 귀빈들께서 자리를 함께 해주셨는데요. 화면에서 보시듯 각국 대사님들께서도 지금 이렇게 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 또 주요 언론사 대표님들께서도 또 참석을 해주셨고요. 네, 그리고 또 강원도 의회 의원님들께서도 많이 참석을 해주셨습니다. 네, 바쁘신 가운데 자리를 함께 해주셔서 감사합니다. 네, 마지막으로 주최기관의 기관장님들을 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 한금석 강원도 의회 의장님께서 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 한왕기 평창 군수님이십니다. 네, 그리고 이곳 강원도의 최문순 도지사님께서도 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 네, 바쁘신 일정에도 불구하고 참석해주신 모든 내외기빈 여러분께 다시 한번 깊은 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 네, 다음은 헤럴드 존스 공동위원장님의 2020 평창평화포럼의 개회를 알리는 개회사가 있겠습니다. 여러분, 큰 박수와 함께 헤럴드 존스 공동위원장님을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다. Yes, Mr. Jones, if you could please join me on the stage for your opening remarks. 네, 올라오고 계시는데요. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
안녕하세요. What an honor to be here. I'm an American. I live in Switzerland. I work for a Swiss NGO called the Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy. We also serve under Global Hope Network International, working in 51 countries, helping the poorest villages become self-sustainable through using local resources. I say that because we have learned that what it takes to transform a village is not a lot of money. It takes a champion who is willing to lay their life down for the people of that village, to see that village unified and moving ahead, and that affects all the rest of the villages. And I say that because we're here today because of a champion. Governor Moon, where are you? Governor Moon. Right there. Thank you for being the champion who has pulled this together. It is an honor to be your friend and to be here with my other co-chairman, and I'm going to read their names right now as I want to honor them. Secretary Moon, please stand up. Secretary Moon, Ban Ki-moon. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. What an honor to have you here today with your wife. Presidents, Kyun, Koika. Presidents. The Honorable Jim Rogers. President Schill, People of the Earth. Honorable Lindbergh. There she is, okay, all right. And Ambassador Christopher Hill. You please stand. Thank you for your years of service, Ambassador Hill. And other distinguished guests. And it's just a thrill for me. The Geneva Institute attended and helped with a conference here just several months ago up at the DMZ. And as we stood there, not one of us had a dry eye as we saw this division in this great country. And all of us were touched deeply to believe that we need to do as much as we can to join hands with Governor Moon to make this happen. So we have 400 people here from 25 different countries and over 1,000 representatives here today for this great historic conference. Give yourselves a hand for being here. Yes, yes. History's going to be made here if we're all willing to become champions. We're here to study and to discuss an integrated and holistic way, mobilizing different aspects of civil society, whether it's in sports or communication or education, humanitarian aid, livelihood, working in concert in a unified approach to help unify this peninsula. And what a joy. And it can be done. You're today becoming part of a movement of people who not only say, let's get things going, but are willing to do things together to really make this happen. 70 years is long enough. The people of Israel were in captivity for 70 years, and then they were let go. 70 years is 2 generations. That's enough. It's time to turn things around. It's time to bring peace. It's time that the two become one Korea again, and we can make this happen. We can help to make this happen with the leadership of the people of Korea. So I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to these next few days when we have these international representatives with expertise in all these areas to share, to study, to discuss, and we hope to finish and commit with a memorandum of understanding that a significant part of our lives is to reunite and strengthen Korea. God bless you. Welcome here. It's good to have you. Let's have a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones, for your very inspirational opening remarks and for highlighting the significance and also timeliness of our forum. 네, 여러분, 존스 공동위원장님께 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 성공적인 포럼 개최를 위해서 많은 도움을 주셔서 감사합니다. 네, 제가 다음 기빈을 소개해드리기 전에 또 한 분 꼭 소개해드리고 싶은 분이 있습니다. 장문혁 평창군도의회 의장님께서도 또 바쁘신 의정활동 가운데 이렇게 자리를 함께 해주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 어서 오십시오. 네, 이어서 한반도 남북 평화협력에 지대한 관심을 가지고 계시는 분입니다. 제가 알기로는 한국도 이미 여러 차례 방문을 하셨는데요. 여러분, 짐 로저스 공동위원장님의 환영사가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수와 함께 짐 로저스 공동위원장님을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
Governor Choi, thank you very much for inviting me. I've never been to this part of Korea before. I've been to North Korea, South Korea, but this is the first time, Governor Choi, that I've been in your part of Korea, and I like it a lot. You know, it says here, peace now, here and now. I've been to many conferences where they talk about peace, but I hope that somebody is going to do something about it instead of just talk. Every male alive in Korea, in Hanbando today, has spent his whole life worrying about getting killed. Every male, every female too, for that matter. North Korea spends staggering amounts of money on defense. South Korea spends staggering amounts of money on defense. Can you imagine how much money there would be in Hanbando for you to spend money on roads, schools, railroads, many, many, many other things? We didn't sit here worrying about shooting each other and killing each other. I don't know any young boys or young women who want to spend their lives killing each other. They had rather sing and dance, dine, drink, whatever they want to do. So I hope that Governor Choi and the rest of you can figure out a way to make something happen instead of just talking about it. This should be the most exciting place in the world. Once that 38th parallel is gone, Hanbando, Korean Peninsula, will be the single most exciting place in the world. Economically, politically, in your society, sports will be very exciting too. So please, you're going to rebuild the railroad up the East Coast and the railroad up the West Coast. Hanbando will be extremely, extremely exciting again. So Governor Choi, get to work and let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rogers, for your welcoming remarks. And we hope that during this Peace Forum we'll be able to come up with action plans to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula. 네, 여러분 다시 한번 질문주스 공동위원장님께 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 다음은 김영철 통일부 장관님의 평창평화포럼의 개막을 축하하는 축사가 있겠습니다. 큰 박수와 함께 장관님을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
여러분 반갑습니다. 통일부 장관 김영철입니다. 2020 평창평화포럼 개최를 진심으로 축하드립니다. 2년 전 이곳 평창은 남북한이 함께 평화의 길에 들어선 역사의 현장이었습니다. 평창 동계올림픽을 계기로 오랫동안 중단되었던 남북대화가 복원되었으며 대결이 아닌 협상의 시간으로 전환할 수 있었습니다. 오늘 평창 동계올림픽 2주년을 기념하여 뜻깊은 자리를 마련해 주신 강원도와 평창군 그리고 포이카 관계자분들께 깊이 감사드립니다. 아울러 한반도 평화를 염원하는 마음으로 세계 각지에서 먼 길 와주신 귀한 손님들께도 각별한 환영의 인사를 드립니다. 네, 기빈 여러분, 한반도 평화는 평창 이후에도 우리 앞에 지속되는 과제입니다. 평화의 길은 언제나 멀고 험난합니다. 한반도 평화도 해결해야 할 과제가 많습니다. 신뢰를 만들고 차이가 아니라 합의를 넓혀나가기 위해 노력해야 합니다. 우리에게 다른 선택의 여지는 없습니다. 전쟁의 참혹함을 경험한 우리에게 평화보다 더 소중한 가치는 없습니다. 사랑하는 가족, 그리운 고향이 모두 평화입니다. 경제적 성장과 번영도 견고한 평화에 의해서 가능합니다. 마하트마 간디는 평화로 가는 길은 없다, 평화가 길이다 라고 했습니다. 신뢰와 존중을 바탕으로 끊임없이 대화하고 약속한 것을 성실히 이행하다 보면 우리도 모르는 사이에 조금씩 평화는 올 것입니다. 대한민국 정부는 평창에서 시작된 작은 평화가 공고하고 완전한 모습으로 발전하기까지 앞으로도 쉬지 않고 노력할 것입니다. 한반도의 허리인 비무장지대와 접경지역에서 남북한은 물론 대륙과 해양을 이을 철도와 도로의 연결에서 북한이 집중하고 있는 관광 분야에서 남북관계의 공간 확대를 지속적으로 모색하고자 합니다. 2년 전 평창이라는 무대에서 펼쳐진 평화의 악수를 기억해야 합니다. 한반도의 평화를 바라는 지구촌 사람들이 남과 북의 악수에 뜨거운 박수를 보냈습니다. 이제 다시 어떤 환경에도 흔들리지 않을 지속 가능한 교류와 협력을 시작할 때입니다. 어려울 때 서로 돕고 장애물을 함께 넘는다면 평화의 길도 그만큼 가까워질 것입니다. 평창 동계올림픽이 남긴 평화 유산인 이번 포럼에서 이를 위한 풍성한 논의가 이루어지기를 기대합니다. 기빈 여러분, 평창에 이어 올 여름에는 도쿄에서, 내후년 겨울에는 베이징에서 올림픽이 열립니다. 사상 최초로 동북아 릴레이 올림픽이 열리는 것입니다. 나아가 남북한은 2032년 하계올림픽 공동개최 유치에 협력해 나가기로 뜻을 모은 바 있습니다. 국제사회가 힘을 모아준다면 평창에서 시작된 평화의 물결이 도쿄와 베이징 그리고 2032년 남북 공동올림픽까지 줄기차게 흐를 것입니다. 평창에서 열리게 될 2024년 동계 유스올림픽에서도 2018년의 감동이 재현되기를 기대합니다. 이 자리에 계신 여러분께서 지속적인 관심으로 함께해 주시기를 부탁드립니다. 다시 한번 2020 평창평화포럼 개최를 축하드리며 함께해 주신 모든 분들의 건강과 행복을 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
네, 장관님 뜻깊은 말씀 감사드립니다. 장관님께서 말씀하신 것처럼 평화의 길은 멀고 험난하지만 아마 이 자리에 계신 모든 분들께서 힘을 모아주신다면 분명히 평창에서 살린 평화의 불씨가 한반도를 넘어 전 세계로 확산될 거라고 생각합니다. 네, 다음으로는 이정욱 여성가족부 장관님께서 축사를 해주시겠습니다. 한반도 평화의 여정을 열어가고 있는 평창평화포럼 개회를 축하하는 축사를 해주시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수와 함께 장관님을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
네, 반갑습니다. 여성가족부 장관 이정욱입니다. 이 코로나 바이러스의 두려움에도 평화의 열기를 막지는 못했습니다. 제가 작년 평창 평화포럼에 NGO 자격으로 참석을 했는데 어느새 이렇게 승진하여 여성가족부 장관으로 참석하게 되어서 감개가 2배로 무량합니다. 2020년 평창 평화포럼, 우리는 평창을 기억합니다. 동계올림픽은 그저 선수들의 잔치인 줄로 알았습니다. 그런 동계올림픽이 평화의 상징이 될 줄은 몰랐습니다. 그것은 여기 계신 평화를 바라는 평창 국민들을 위시해 강원 도민 여러분, 그리고 평화를 바라는 우리 민족의 영혼이 만들어진 자연스러운 드라마였다고 생각합니다. 그것이 2018년 하나의 사건으로 끝나는 줄 알았습니다. 그런데 작년에 시민사회의 아주 눈물겨운 노력으로 국제회의를 개최한 것을 기억합니다. 그것이 끊어진 제도적 기반도 약한데 끊어지지 않고 다시 2020 평창평화포럼으로 살아났고, 이 시기에 누군가는 꼭 말해야 할 평화, 바로 지금 이곳에서, 그리고 종전을 말하는 평화포럼으로 거듭났습니다. 그러니까 평창평화포럼은 시간이 갈수록 그 시대에 꼭 다뤄야, 누군가는 다뤄야 하지만 다루기 어려운 주제를 정면으로 맞닥뜨리는 새로운 포럼이 되었다고 생각합니다. 그런 의미에서 이 자리를 만드느라고 얼마나 애를 쓰셨는지, 특별히 이름을 호명하지 않아도 여기 계신 모든 분들이 이것을 만들어낸 주역이라고 생각합니다. 저는 지금 6.25 참전 70주년을 기념하는 행사를 얼마 전에 한 적이 있습니다. 참전 용사들이 다 90대입니다. 그리고 저는 여성가족부 장관으로서 위안부 할머니들이 다 90대입니다. 근현대사의 가장 중요한 제2차 세계대전과 남들이 겪지 않는 냉전 속의 열전 6.25의 피해자가 그대로 살아남아 있는 자리에서 우리는 오랫동안의 정전 상태를 지속하고 있습니다. 끝나지 않는 전쟁이 한반도에서 지속되고 있습니다. 우리 모두는 전쟁이 다시 발발할지도 모른다는 마음속의 불안을 한 끝에 가지고 있지만 그 누구도 그것을 정면으로 말하지 않습니다. 왜냐하면 평화의 염원과 희망을 만들어내는 노력이 그 작은 불안의 씨앗을 언제나 잠재워 왔기 때문입니다. 그런 의미에서 지금 이곳에서 평화를 만들어 나가야 된다는 사명은 마음속 깊이 뿌리 깊었던 씨앗인데, 바로 이 평창에서, 이 화려한 무대에서 소리 높여 말하고 외치기 시작하였다고 생각합니다. 평창은 스포츠, 청년, 역동성 등 미래지향적인 가치를 담았습니다. 제가 여성가족부 장관이 왜 이 바쁜 와중에 왔나 의아스러워 하실지도 모릅니다. 평창 동계올림픽에서 여러분들이 남북 단일팀이었던 여자 아이스하키 팀의 하나된 모습을 기억할 것입니다. 언제나 어려울 때 물꼬를 트는 것은 여성이었고, 또 올해는 유엔 안보리 결의안 1325가 채택된 지 20주년이 되는 해입니다. 안보리 결의안 1325의 취지는 여기 반기문 사무총장님이 너무나 잘 아시겠지만, 전쟁과 분단의 경우에는 항상 여성과 어린이가 1차 피해자인 만큼 그 평화를 건설하는 데도 여성이 앞장서야 할 뿐만 아니라 평화나 전쟁에 관한, 안보에 관한 중요한 결정 과정에도 여성이 참여해야 한다는 중요한 내용을 담고 있습니다. 여성가족부가 바로 안보리 결의안 1325의 주모부서로서 우리나라의 9개 부서의 국가행동계획을 관여하고 점검하고 함께 격려하고 있습니다. 그런 의미에서 여성과 평화는 뗄래야 뗄 수 없는 주제입니다. 지금 평창에 함께 모이신 여러분께서는 성별이나 세대, 국가를 다 초월해서 평화의 실현을 위해서 함께 해주시기 위해서 이 자리에 모였다고 생각합니다. 전 세계의 평화를 선도하는 여러분의 관심과 지지가 사람 중심의 평화와 번영을 이끌어 나가고자 하는 대한민국의 국민들의 열망과 언제나 함께 할 것이라고 생각합니다. 이 특수하면서도 보편적인 한반도의 특수한 상황에 여러분들이 추위와 바이러스와 여러 가지 장애에도 불구하고 함께 해주신 데에 대해서 진심으로 감사드립니다. 다시 한번 우리가 설레는 해였던 2020, 21세기의 한복판에 들어온 이 시기에 평창평화포럼이 개최된 것에 대해서 진심으로 축하를 드리고, 이것이 앞으로도 한반도의 분쟁뿐만 아니라 전 세계 분쟁을 겪는 사람에게도 희망의 등불이 될 수 있는 글로벌 포럼으로 지속적으로 자리매김할 수 있도록 저 또한 열심히 매진할 것이며, 여기 계신 모든 분들이 힘을 모아줄 것이라고 기대하고 있습니다. 들어주셔서 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
네, 정관님 뜻깊은 말씀 감사드립니다. 네, 저도 또 여성으로서 이 평화를 위협하는 과제를 해결하고 또 평화를 증진하는데 앞으로 더 많은 여성들이 중요한 역할을 했으면 합니다. 네, 제가 다음 귀빈을 소개해드리기 전에요. 멀리 미국에서 오신 분이 계십니다. 김창준 전 미 하원 의원께서 멀리 미국에서 오늘 이 자리에 참석하기 위해서 오셨습니다. 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 어서 오십시오. 감사합니다. 네, 다음은 최윤희 문화체육관광부 제2차관님의 축사가 있겠습니다. 차관님을 큰 박수와 함께 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다.
안녕하세요. 여러분 반갑습니다. 문화체육관광부 2차관 최윤입니다. 2018년 평창으로 모아진 한반도 평화와 화합의 여지를 이어가기 위한 2020 평창평화포럼 개최를 진심으로 축하드립니다. 이런 뜻깊은 자리를 마련하신 최문순 강원도지사님과 한한기 평창군수님, 이미경 한국국제협력단 이사장님을 비롯한 관계자 여러분들께 깊은 감사의 인사를 드립니다. 그리고 반기문 전 유엔 사무총장님을 비롯한 전 세계 평화 지도자 여러분, 구닐라 린드버그 국제올림픽위원회 집행위원님을 비롯한 IOC 위원 여러분, 각국에서 참석하신 귀빈 여러분들께도 반가운 인사와 고마운 마음을 전합니다. 올림픽의 시초인 고대 그리스 올림피아 기간에는 모든 도시가 다른 도시를 침범하지 않고 무기를 내려놓은 채 함께 경기를 즐겼다고 합니다. 동서냉전이 한창이던 1980년대에도 서울올림픽은 양진영이 모두 참가해서 냉전 체계의 종식과 화합의 시작을 알리는 계기가 되었습니다. 2017년도 말 한반도 평화에는 위기가 왔었지만 스포츠를 통한 인류 평화의 유지와 인류애의 공헌이라는 올림픽의 위대한 정신은 2018년 평창 동계올림픽에서의 남북선수 개막식 공동 입장, 여자 아이스하키 남북 단일팀으로 구현되었으며 마침내 역사적인 남북 정상회담과 북미 정상회담으로 꽃피웠습니다. 이렇듯 인류 역사는 스포츠가 어떻게 평화에 기여해왔는지를 입증해주고 있습니다. 다시 대한민국은 2032년 올림픽 남북 공동 개최라는 새로운 역사를 준비하고 있습니다. 2032년 올림픽 남북 공동 개최는 남북 정상 간 합의 사항이자 국제사회와의 약속으로 평창 올림픽이 우리에게 보여주었던 한반도 종식과 평화의 가능성을 실현하기 위한 기회가 될 것입니다. 그리고 우리는 2024년 강원도 청소년 동계올림픽 개최가 그 디딤돌이 되기를 희망하고 있습니다. 오늘 2020 평창평화포럼이 세계적인 스포츠 교류의 크나큰 창구가 되고 올림픽 정신의 평화적 구현을 통해 한반도의 항구적인 평화 체제에 기여하는 나가서는 또 세계 평화를 촉진하는 마중물의 역할을 기대합니다. 함께해 주시는 모든 분들의 건강과 행복을 기원드립니다. 감사합니다.
네, 차관님 좋은 말씀 감사드립니다. 말씀하신 것처럼 또 2032년 올림픽 남북 공동 개최가 실제로 이루어져서 다시 한번 이 한반도의 그런 평화의 물결이 일어나기를 바라겠습니다. 네, 오늘 일정상 또 부득이하게 함께 하지는 못하셨지만 그 아쉬움을 달래기 위해서 문희상 국회의장님께서 또 축하 영상 메시지를 보내주셨다라고 합니다. 여러분 함께 보시죠.
안녕하십니까. 대한민국 국회의장 문희상입니다. 2020년 평창평화포럼을 진심으로 축하드립니다. 최문순 강원도지사님과 한왕기 평창 군수님을 비롯한 관계자 여러분들께 감사드리며 참석자 한 분 한 분께 환영의 인사를 전합니다. 평창은 2018년 동계올림픽 개최지이며 한반도 평화 프로세스의 출발지입니다. 평화, 지금 이곳에서 라는 슬로건이 매우 뜻깊게 다가옵니다. 앞으로도 평창 평화포럼이 세계 평화의 메시지로서 성장해 나아가기를 기대합니다. 함께해 주신 모든 분들의 건강과 행복을 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
네, 이렇게 축하 영상 메시지를 보내주신 문희상 국회의장님께 다시 한번 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 네, 마지막으로 평창 평화포럼을 축하해 주시기 위해 또 멀리 스위스 로잔에서 토마스 바흐 IOC 위원장님께서도 영상 메시지를 보내주셨습니다. 함께 보시죠.
Your Excellency and dear friend, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, dear President of the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation, Mr. Ryu Seung-min, dear fellow IOC members, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. This 9th of February brings back many memories for me. Exactly 2 years ago today, at the opening ceremony of the Olympic Winter Games Pyeongchang 2018, the world witnessed an incredible moment. The athletes from the embassies of the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea marched together as one team behind one flag, the Korean unification flag. This moment sent a powerful message of peace from Korea to the entire world. This one moment demonstrated the unique power of sport to unite the whole world in peace. To me, this is the most powerful message of the Olympic Games. With these symbols in Pyeongchang, we have seen how the Olympic Games can open the way to dialogue. This moment did not happen by chance. It was the result of a long process of negotiations and high-level government engagement by the International Olympic Committee that began back in 2014 and lasted until a few hours, actually 4 hours, before this now unforgettable opening ceremony. In this context, I would like to thank in particular President Moon Jae-in for having accompanied these efforts of the IOC with unwavering support. Both President Moon and Chairman Kim Jong-un thanked the IOC afterwards for having opened the door for their peace talks through these actions. They actually asked the IOC to continue to support a peaceful rapprochement on the Korean Peninsula. The IOC is truly committed to this, and we hope that the peace talks will resume soon again. We know that sport alone cannot create peace. But as we saw in Pyeongchang, the Olympic Games can open the way to a more peaceful future. As you gather for the Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020, you are keeping this Olympic spirit alive. And for this, I would like to thank and congratulate all of you. The fact that you are coming together again in Pyeongchang under the motto of peace, here and now, is itself a strong reminder of the important legacy of these Olympic Winter Games. This is why on the occasion of this second Pyeongchang Peace Forum, I would like to reaffirm the commitment of the IOC to continue to support peace through sport, as both leaders have asked us. 2 years on, we hope for a new momentum in the political dialogue for peace on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. The IOC will continue to do whatever we can to build bridges through sport. All participants of this forum can also play an important role in building on the Pyeongchang legacy for a brighter, for a more peaceful future. In this respect, I would like to congratulate the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation under the able leadership of my dear friend and colleague, IOC member, Mr. Ryu Seung-min, for their important work to promote the legacy of Pyeongchang. With the Winter Youth Olympic Games Gangwon 2024, you have every opportunity to even strengthen this Olympic legacy. From the outset of the Gangwon 2024 candidature, the IOC has committed to accept the National Olympic Committee of the DPRK as a partner in the organization of these games, if the political circumstances hopefully allow. This offer of the IOC for a continued dialogue with all parties involved still stands. Now we wait for the reaction, which may come at an appropriate time. The Olympic Games cannot prevent wars and conflicts. But by bringing together all people in peaceful competition, the Olympic Games show us what the world could look like if we were all guided by the Olympic values of peace and of respect. In this great Olympic spirit, I wish you fruitful discussions and a most successful Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020. All the very best.
네, 토마스 바울 위원장님 감사드립니다. 네, 2018 평창 동계올림픽의 기적을 이어나갈 2024 강원 청소년 동계올림픽이 지난 1월 135차 IOC 총회에서 유치에 성공하였습니다. 그 영광의 순간을 영상으로 준비했습니다. 함께 보시죠.
And that led me.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Province of Gangwon, Republic of Korea.
청소년 동계올림픽 성공 개최와 새로운 평화를 위하여 지난 2018 평창 동계올림픽을 통해 평화의 발신지로 자리 잡았는데요. 새로 이름 지어진 바람산 평화봉에서 2024 청소년 동계올림픽의 주요 무대 스키어들이 평화의 등불을 들고 여기 알페시아로 오고 있습니다. 보셨던 평화봉 발왕산에서 출발한 성화가 지금 입장하고 있습니다. 네, 2024년 강화 동계청소년올림픽 유치의 주역 최연우 학생과 2020 로잔 동계청소년올림픽 금메달리스트 장성우 선수가 평화의 등불을 들고 입장하고 있습니다. 네, 2018 평창올림픽에서 시작된 새로운 평화가 2024 강원동계 청소년 올림픽에서 멀리 퍼져나가기를 바라는 의미에서 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님에게 성화를 전달하도록 하겠습니다. 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님을 큰 박수와 함께 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 평창평화포럼을 밝혀주기 위해서 이제 두 학생이 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님께 등불을 전달하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 자, 지금 최윤희 학생과 장성우 선수가 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님께 평화의 등불을 전달했습니다. 네, 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 여기 계신 모든 분들과 함께 평화를 향한 소망을 담아서 전달을 해드렸습니다. 네, 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님께서는 또 평창을 벌써 42번이나 방문을 하셨다고 합니다. 정말 평창과 각별한 인연과 애정이 있다고 생각을 합니다. 저희가 이제 아주 특별한 퍼포먼스를 준비를 했는데요. 잠시 준비하는 동안에 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님의 말씀을 한번 들어보면 어떨까요? So, Ms. Lindbergh, we would like to ask you to say a few words to our guests who are here today. 네, 린드버그 위원장님께서는 2018 평창 동계올림픽 IOC 조정위원장을 또 역임하셨고 또 올해는 공동위원장으로 헌신하고 계십니다. So you visited Pyeongchang for more than 40 times. You were the chair of the Coordination Commission for the 2018 Winter Olympic Games, and now you are the co-president. If you could share with us your thoughts on being here today.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Governor, Mayors, dear ladies and gentlemen. As you said, I have been here now more than 40 times and it feels like coming home. I love your country, I love the province, and I know you're capable of doing whatever. When it comes, you have the real strong energy here. I think I should have given you the flame, the torch, but here I am and I'm very proud that we in IOC, we decided on the 8th of January this year to award your province the Youth Olympic Games 2024. The Youth Olympic Games is a gathering for all the youth of the world. And they will come here and experience the same welcome, the same Olympic spirit, the same kindness, the same friendship as you all showed during the games here in Pyeongchang 2 years ago. The 9th of February, as President Bach said, it's also getting me a bit emotional. We were working for so many years together and we had our ups and downs, but to be in the opening ceremony and to see the joint team coming in and also to see the unified women ice hockey team playing, and I was sitting actually between the Minister of Sport of North Korea and the president of the organizing committee, and the team playing were Sweden and Korea. And for the first time in my life, I was not cheering for my country. I was cheering for the Korean unified team, and it was a great experience which I will never forget in my life. So I can just congratulate you for this new host, and we hope that the celebration and the peace negotiations will have the same result as in 2018. for the whole world, but mostly for your countries. And we hope that sport, which is a language of peace, can bring everybody together and have the open borders. So congratulations, the Gangwon province, you did a fantastic job, and we all look forward to come back and have the same spirit again in this wonderful province. Thank you so much and good luck. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lindberg. Now, if you could take your place by the steps. Thank you. 네, 이제 구닐라 린드버그 위원장님과 함께 평화의 등불을 밝혀주실 분들을 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 호명되시는 분들은 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 반기문 제8대 UN 사무총장님을 앞으로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 짐 로저스 공동위원장님께서도 앞으로 나와주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 저희가 이제 귀빈들을 모시고 평화의 등불을 꽂는 세레모니를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 네. 그로할렘 브룬틀란드 전 노르웨이 총리님을 모시도록 하겠습니다. 해럴드 존스 공동위원장님께서도 앞으로 자리를 함께 해주시기 바랍니다. 네, 저희가 이제 한 분 한 분 모시고 평화의 등불을 가지고 세레모니를 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 하럴드 존스 공동위원장님께서도 앞으로 나와주시고요. 네, 김현철 통일부 장관님과 그리고 이미경 공동위원장님도 앞으로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 네, 이종욱 여성가족부 장관님과 아트 린슬리 GILPP 위원님께서도 이제 앞으로 자리를 함께 해주시기 바랍니다. 네, 그리고 최윤희 문화체육관광부 제2차관님과 김창준 전 미하원 의원님께서도 앞으로 자리를 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그리고 이반 디모스 IOC 위원님과 그리고 버나드 라즈만 IOC 위원님도 또 무대 앞으로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 네, 이번 전 평창 동계올림픽 조직위원장님께서도 앞으로 자리를 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 다음은 유승민 2018 평창기념재단 이사장님을 앞쪽으로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 황금석 강원도의회 의장님과 장문혁 평창군의회 의장님께서도 앞쪽으로 나와주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그리고 한학기 평창군수님과 그리고 강원도 최문순 도지사님도 앞쪽으로 나와주시기 바라겠습니다. 네, 지금 이렇게 귀빈들께서 앞으로 나와 계시는데요. 객석에 계시는 분들께서도요, 여러분 앞에 비치되어 있는 평화의 등불을 함께 들어주시기 바랍니다. 네, 모두 좌석에 마련되어 있는 평화의 등불을 함께 들어주시고요. 네, 평화의 등불이 이번 행사를 통해 널리 퍼져나기를 기원하면서 평화의 등불로 평창 피스 포럼을 밝히는 세레머니를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 저의 신호에 맞춰 함께 조형물에 평화의 등불을 꽂아주시길 바랍니다. So on the count of 3, please place the torch on the installation. 3, 2, 1! 모였다는 의미를 상징적으로 전달했습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 우리 모두가 함께 새롭게 평화의 등불을 활짝 필 것 같습니다. 네, 저희가 이제 사진 촬영을 진행을 하려고 하는데요. 일단 내빈님께서는 앞쪽에 있는 카메라를 보고 활짝 웃어주시기 바랍니다. If you can smile for our cameras. 네, 앞쪽에 있는 카메라를 보시고 활짝 웃어주시기 바랍니다. 네, 기자분들께서는 사진 촬영을 마치셨으면은 저희가 이제 또 VIP석에 앉아 계시는 다른 분들을 모시고 사진 촬영을 진행을 하겠습니다. 네, 이제 한 번으로 마무리하기 아쉬우니까요. 이 앞쪽에 VIP석에 앉아 계시는 분들께서도 또 앞쪽으로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 네, VIP석에 앉아 계시는 분들께서도 무대 앞쪽으로 나와서 함께 사진 촬영에 참여해 주시기 바랍니다. I would like to ask those of you who are sitting in the VIP seats, please come forward to join our VIP guest for a group photo. 네, 모든 분들께서 앞쪽으로 VIP석에 앉아 계시는 모든 분들께서 이제 무대 위에 자리를 함께 해주시기 바라겠습니다. 저희가 다 함께 단체 사진 촬영을 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 평창올림픽이 시작되었던 이 평화를 위한 노력이 계속해서 확산되기를 바라겠습니다. 오늘 정말 많은 분들께서 자리를 함께 해주셨는데요. 네, 모두 자리를 잡아주시고 그리고 정면에 있는 저희 카메라를 보고 또 다시 한번 활짝 웃어주시길 바랍니다. 평창평화포럼을 밝힌 평화의 불꽃이 또 전 세계로 뻗어나가 2018 평창 동계올림픽의 평화정신을 계승하고 이를 확산시킴으로써 평화 구축 모멘텀이 한반도를 넘어 전 세계로 또 이어지길 바랍니다. We hope that the seeds of peace planted here in Pyeongchang will usher in peace to the Korean Peninsula and around the world. 네, 저희가 한국에서 사진 촬영을 하기 때문에 이번에는 파이팅하는 자세를 취하고 사진을 찍어볼까 합니다. Because we're in Korea, we're going to take one last photo in true Korean style. So if you could hold up your fist and hold up your arm and clench your fist. 네, 화이팅하는 자세를 취해주시면 감사하겠습니다. So in Korea, this is fighting. So if you could hold up your arm and clench your fist. So on the count of 3, I hope everyone will say peace. Okay? 3, 2, 1, peace! 네, 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 세계 평화를 바라는 저희의 염원을 담아서 이렇게 화이팅을 한번 외쳐보았습니다. 네, 모두 자리로 돌아가 주시기 바랍니다. I'd like to thank everyone for taking part in the group photo. You may now return to your seats. 네, 이어서 평화를 위한 글로벌 네트워크 구축을 주제로 기조 연설 및 또 평화의 대화가 바로 진행될 예정입니다. 참가자 여러분께서는요, 자리 이동을 삼가해 주시고요. 자리에서 잠시만 기다려 주시면 저희가 바로 다음 순서인 기조 세션으로 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 네, 저희가 기조 세션은 영어로 진행이 될 예정입니다. 여러분 앞에 놓여있는 동시 통역 수신기를 이용을 해주시면 되겠습니다. 다시 한번 한국어는 채널 1번, 영어는 채널 2번입니다. So from the keynote speech, the sessions will be conducted in English. For those of you who need interpretation, please use the interpretation receivers. For Korean, it is channel 1, and for English, it is channel 2. 네, 그리고 저희가 기조 세션이 끝난 다음에는 평화의 대화가 진행이 될 텐데요. 여러분께서 연사분들께 질문을 직접 하실 수 있는 저희가 기회를 마련을 했습니다. QR코드를 스캔을 하시거나 저희 URL 웹사이트를 접속을 하시면 여러분께서 질문을 올리실 수가 있습니다. 저희가 시간이 한정되어 있기 때문에 최대한 많은 분들한테 질문을 받기 위해서 질문은 이 심플로라는 애플리케이션을 통해서만 받고 있다는 점 말씀을 드리도록 하겠습니다. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to begin the next part of our program. We have two distinguished guests who will be delivering today's keynote speech. It is my great honor and pleasure to invite Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, to the stage for his keynote speech. The title of his keynote speech is SDGs and World Peace. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ban Ki-moon to the stage with a very warm round of applause.
Thank you for your warm introduction. Governor Chae-Moon-soon and Mayor Han Wang-ki and IOC members Yoo Seung-min and former chairman of the Olympic Committee Lee Hee-bum and ministers, excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, organizers, and ladies and gentlemen. I just want to, for the sake of time, to recognize each and every one of you, and thank you very much for your participation. After such very colorful and exciting, passionate, and inspiring speeches and events and performances, I'm concerned that my keynote speech will be a little bit dull. I hope you will understand. I'll try to make it as lively as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, I'd like to really thank, through my message here, to Honorable Thomas Bach, President of IOC, without whose leadership this Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games would not have been possible. We are very much grateful for his leadership and initiative and passion to promote peace and reconciliation and dialogue between South and North through the power of sports. And I'm going to say a little bit more later in my speech how sports is important, how sports can promote peace and reconciliation. And again, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's my privilege to deliver these keynote remarks at such a timely juncture as we strive to promote peace on the Korean Peninsula and beyond, and also celebrate the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. This is a very special year. In that regard, I'd like to particularly recognize the presence of Mr. Fabrizio Hochschild, who is now working as a special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations to prepare a meaningful celebration and debate on the future role of the United Nations. And this year also coincides with the 70th anniversary of the outbreak of the Korean War in June 1950. I'm confident that Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020 will galvanize us to tackle the interconnected challenges of both today and tomorrow, leverage key partnerships, expand collaborations, and help cultivate the next generation of actively engaged global citizens. Distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, over the last few years, we have witnessed a profound period of discord and uncertainty. Wars and conflict continue to kill civilians, hinder development, and create millions of vulnerable refugees around the world. They are lacking goodwill and institutional support in new lands. Inequality is growing while the double-edged sword of rapid technological advancement brings us ever closer together, yet simultaneously fuel increased polarization. As a new year 2020 and the new decade begin from 2020, it also seems like our planet Earth is on fire, both literally and figuratively. Our climate crisis is deepening as wildfires burn, as we are seeing in Australia. Geopolitical tensions are expanding, and fears of global pandemic grow as a deadly new coronavirus spread around the world. Under this backdrop, we must forge guiding and sustainable solutions to the great challenges that we face at this time of difficulty. Such challenges are inherently global. Some conflicts may seem like local, but there is no difference between local and global. These local conflicts and misunderstandings even can spread immediately and become a global problems. To solve these matters, all these challenges, global challenges, must be addressed with the global solutions. To achieve this, I believe that cooperative international action must be glue that binds us together and that binds the issues together so that we can address all interconnected areas. I can tell you at least 3 very important agendas which we are now facing at this time. First, we need to enhance our collective efforts to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by the target year 2030. Second, we must take an urgent action to address climate crisis. We often used to say that climate change. Now it is no longer change. It is changing much, much faster than we may expect. It has evolved into a climate crisis. Third, we simply must do more to accelerate progress on building and sustaining peace both here on the Korean Peninsula and all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, to achieve these 3 priority agenda which I have just mentioned, I believe that achieving the first of all United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, can help bring us together in this era of division and simultaneously pave the path to greater peace, equality, and prosperity. The SDGs vision for our shared future is to ensure that nobody is left behind. Wherever you may be, wherever you may be living, I think everybody should be able to enjoy the prosperous situation of this 21st century. In order to meet these noble aspirations, cooperation, innovation, and engagement by all stakeholders of all ages and in all the regions is absolutely essential. While serving as Secretary General of the United Nations, I have prioritized and expanded the importance of the UN's Global Development Agenda. The 2030 Agenda, which I mentioned, is one of the United Nations' most ambitious and most far-reaching vision the United Nations has ever presented to the world's people during the last 75 years. Adopted by all 193 member states in September 2015, where most of the heads of state and government participated, including President of Korea at that time. These include poverty eradication, quality education, inequality, climate crisis, human rights, public health, and gender equality. Over 4 years since their adoption, the SDGs have made tangible progress on battering maternal mortality rates, ending poverty and hunger, and improve the quality of water and sanitation in many communities. But progress is uneven on others, and conflict, inequality, and climate crisis around the world, and hindering the SDGs implementation. According to a German foundation's research, among 193 member states, they have chosen 20 well-performing countries. Among 20 countries, they are mostly European countries. There are only 4 countries, non-European. They are New Zealand, Canada, and Republic of Korea and Japan. Those are 4 countries outside of Europe. So it's quite concerning that progress implementation level is quite uneven, particularly when it comes to African countries and Southeast Asia. They are well below. They belong to beyond 120, 130, like this way. To achieve these goals by 2030 target, we need all hands on deck approach. There's not a single country, not a single individual, however rich one may be. For example, the United States is the most resourceful, most powerful, richest, but they cannot do it alone. Nobody can do it alone. Therefore, we have to bring all together. At the same time, national ownership is very important. The leaders of the government, the leaders of the business communities, they should have a firm ownership, stronger ownership in their leadership. Otherwise, this will not move. This must be done at all levels, local or municipal levels, to give us the best chance of success and to instill a strong sense of collaboration and solidarity, both within and beyond cities and national borders. I believe that Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020 is a sterling example of exactly the type of SDG ownership we need to see in other cities, countries, and regions around the world. As such, I salute the vision of Gangwon-do Province, Pyeongchang City, KOICA, and the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation for building upon the peaceful legacy of the Pyeongchang Olympics and holistically integrating the UN's SDGs in both this forum and guiding legacy. Over the next 11 years, we have about 11 years now, progress in innovation, technology, and science will also be essential in delivering on all SDGs. Such new innovation hold a great promise for the implementation of SDGs. They have the potential to forge new transnational partnership between governments, civil societies, tech sectors, young people, businesses, and other critical decision makers. They have the potential to expand access, empowerment, and collaboration. However, alongside such innovation, we also need increased political will and policy changes. Again, I'm emphasizing the importance of ownership and political will on the part of political leaders, the President, Prime Minister, and ministers in charge. Without their political guidance, this will be very, very difficult. That's what I have been speaking out as a Secretary General to all world leaders. At the same time, doing so is essential to combat inequality and simultaneously build peaceful societies. And in this regard, education can play a very important and essential role. Education can help boost empowerment and inclusion at all levels. But governments, again, need to do more to provide the requisite enabling environment to help such gains synergize greater inclusion, an essential pillar for fulfilling the SDGs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we strive to achieve the SDGs, we must also be reminded that sustainable development simply cannot be achieved without peace and security around the world. There are three pillars in the United Nations Charter: peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights. If and when there is no security, instability of political situation, then business cannot function. And even human rights are not respected. Therefore, it is essential that we ensure peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. Vice versa, when economy does not function well, there is no political leaders who can stay in power. Certainly, they will be voted down when next term comes. Then while peace and security, development are there, when human rights are not respected, then it is all meaningless. What's the meaning when people are just enjoying prosperity without any political freedom? Then I believe that human rights and human dignity should come above all this peace and security and development. But in reality, we can address these human rights abuses cases after we address peace and security and development. I have been saying that justice will always prevail. If not today, we can do it tomorrow. If not tomorrow, we can do it next year. This has been my continuous message, that these three pillars, peace and security, development, human rights, should go hand in hand. Now let me talk about peace and security then, how peace and security can really help development. The peace and security, prosperity that Koreans enjoy today is owed a lot to noble sacrifices of many United Nations soldiers from 16 countries and other 5 countries who provided humanitarian assistance. Therefore, we all Korean people should never forget their sacrifices as well as their assistance during our time of urgent need. 75 years after its establishment and 70 years after the outbreak of Korean War, United Nations remains still the preeminent institution that both maintains and builds peace on the Korean Peninsula. Today, the United Nations does this through preventive diplomacy and the mediation of conflicts, peacekeeping, peace building, countering the surge of terrorism, scourge of terrorism, and disarmament and non-proliferation activities. UN peace-building activities strengthen societies by lessening the chance of a country relapsing back into conflict or poverty. This is done through international, national, and local efforts led by the United Nations to build and sustain peace. In this connection, prioritizing education, quality education, expanding the empowerment and participation of women and young people are absolutely critical to build peaceful and resilient societies, and we simply must do more in these two spheres. And I cannot agree more to what the Honorable Minister Lee Jong-ok of Women's and Family Affairs have stated. That without women's empowerment, nobody can say that this country or any society people can live in justice and fairness. Therefore, we must make sure that the women empowerment and also at this time, our youth empowerment should be our guiding principle again. Based on my experiences leading the United Nations for 10 years in pursuit of peace and conflict resolution, I can testify to this truth. To do so, international community, including key stakeholders from the United Nations, governments, civil society, the private sector, and the educational community must be proactive in harnessing education for peace for all and cultivating the next generation of global citizens. Quality education builds peace by enhancing the confidence and hope of young people and women, girls. It scales up problem solving, empathy, and independent thinking. It reduces poverty and opens opportunities for societal and economic advancement. And it increases participation in political process at all levels. In this connection, expanding educational pathways and empowerment for girls and women is also essential for communities to resolve conflicts and build peace. Indeed, higher levels of gender equality and women's rights are routinely associated with a lower likelihood of conflict. This is true both within and between countries. I've been trying to test my argument, my theories, that women can do much better. At the United Nations, for the first time in the history of the United Nations, I appointed women peacekeeping commanding general, several. And I also appointed a woman police chief of the United Nations. And I have increased the level of women senior officers, at least 45 to 55%, from almost negligible ratio. This is what I am very much proud of what I have done. In that regard, I'm not boasting, but one of the women's organizations in the United States has established an award in my name, taking my name, Ban Ki-moon Award for Women's Empowerment. I'm very proud that this award was established. Ladies and gentlemen, let me slowly, gradually close. During my career, I have witnessed individuals, communities, and countries to do great things to change their environments and the wider world for the better. From the most difficult of conflicts, we have forged harmony. From the darkest of wars, we have constructed the greatest foundations for peace. Elevated educational opportunities and empowerment of girls and women open the doors to such possibilities. And redoubling our efforts with regard to these two significant areas will continue to hold the keys to building resilient peace, achieving the SDGs, and empowering global citizens moving forward. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the Korean Peninsula currently represents the vanguard of global efforts to build more peaceful, sustainable, prosperous, and reconciliatory global efforts. Consider how the Republic of Korea successfully transitioned from post-war poverty to global prosperity from an aid recipient to aid donor. In fact, Korea is the only country in the world who has transitioned from receiving aid to donor countries. I think we need to be proud, but before being proud, we should do much more than what we are now doing. And consider how our Korean peninsula is still divided, and our people are still separated, and sustainable peace here remains still evasive and fleeting. However, transformational steps towards peace and reconciliation are now being taken right here on the long divided Korean peninsula. And I urge all stakeholders to seize this historic opportunity. And this process was kick-started here in beautiful Pyeongchang during the Peace Olympics. As such, it is fitting that participants at Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020 will now forge ahead with concrete measures to interlink the United Nations SDGs with the peace under the guiding theme, Action Plan, End the Korean War. And I commend this incredibly important work through the excitement and passion for peace and reconciliation created during Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games 2 years ago. Even though it may be fading a little bit at this moment, we should never be deterred by any such setbacks we experience now. We must have a firm conviction that only through renewed dialogue and mutual respect and reconciliation will we be able to overcome the current impasse between the South and North Korea. Such efforts are both timely and necessary to spur this decade of action, as we need all global citizens to come together to bring this transformational vision to fruition. In this era of increased division and uncertainty, I strongly believe that achieving sustainable development, building peace, and fighting climate crisis must unite all nations and all global citizens through cooperation and partnership. We can do this. Humanity has a limitless potential in terms of its courage, dynamism, and innovative vibrancy. And as globalization, sports, technology, and culture continue to bring us together, I know our commonality can provide invaluable opportunity to realize lasting peace, sustainable development, and great prosperity. Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020, with your active and sustained effort to this end, I'm confident that our world, including right here on the Korean Peninsula, will flourish and be peaceful and harmonious and sustainable for the next generation and beyond. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us work together using the power of sports to make peace established on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. I thank you for your leadership and commitment. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, with his keynote speech. Thank you for that very passionate and inspirational speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary of the United Nations, once again for his keynote speech. Thank you. And next, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and honor to invite Ms. Gro Harlem Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, to the stage for her keynote speech. The title of her keynote speech is The Sustainable Development Goals, a Key to Our Common Future. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, to the stage with a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. Governor, Mayor, members of the IOC, but first of all, Ban Ki-moon. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm greatly honored to have been invited here to the Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020. I am especially happy to be part of this opening after the keynote speech delivered by my colleague and friend Ban Ki-moon. Today, we work together in the Elders, an organization created by Nelson Mandela in 2007, on which I have served since its inception. Also, his predecessor as our Secretary General, Kofi Annan, has been part of our group set up to promote peace and human rights. Now, my own life experience as a political leader dates back to 1974, when, surprisingly, at age 35, a young public health doctor, I was invited to and appointed to be Norway's Minister of the Environment. I always, during those years, also addressed inequality and injustice, as well as the rights of women and the empowerment of women, to help grow our societies socially and economically while protecting nature and our environment. In this day and age, we have realized across the world that we are all responsible as individuals, consumers, companies, and leaders, as we just heard Ban Ki-moon underline. For me, who came to a place called Davos far back in 1979 as Minister of Environment and as the only female speaker in that conference, Davos Economic Forum. This indeed, the contrast illustrates a sea change in the global perspective. Back then, I had been asked to speak about quality of life in the 1980s. A sole, progressive, and green voice in a totally male-dominated conference. All I heard as a response, and generally in that conference, was that any social or environmental issue or any concern of that kind was just not relevant for the business community. What they said was this: business leaders should only focus on one goal, the financial bottom line. Today, it is unbelievable that this was a reality in 1979. Because what they said was all other issues and concerns, whether social, environmental, or cultural, no, they were up to governments alone. The reality that the world we share and the world we all influence is a common responsibility, only to hold slowly and gradually over the next 35 years. I knew we had, it's 40 years, huh? Yeah. I knew we had finally entered a new era when 10 years ago, Christine Lagarde of the International Monetary Fund entered the same scene in Davos and expressed clearly and compellingly the critical role of women and gender equality for the prosperity of nations. Since then, we have also seen the importance of greater equality gradually take hold. And it is crucial that those principles are to now be found in the Sustainable Development Goals themselves. 40 years ago, in the early 1980s, There were already alarming and deteriorating trends across the world 10 years after the first UN Conference on the Environment. It led to a United Nations initiative to create a new global commission, asked to analyze the situation and to come up with the necessary recommendations for action. Back then, in 1983, I had been Prime Minister for 9 months only. In 1981, I was leader of the Social Democratic Party and leader of it in Parliament in Norway. And I was very reluctant to take on, to lead this major new initiative. The Secretary General, however, he had an argument that I could not counter-argue or push aside. He said, "You are the only environment minister who have become Prime Minister." So, I could not refuse. 4 years later, our report, Our Common Future, did play a crucial role to inspire global awareness and change. It did become the breakthrough report that opened up a new era of global awareness and debate. We launched the concept Sustainable Development and defined it as a pattern of development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. We saw very clearly this intergenerational perspective. The alarming environmental trends, climate change and threats to biodiversity are today even more an urgent reason for great international concern and for concerted systematic action. We have now already overstepped nature's limits in a number of areas, and our lives depend on nature for our own survival. We all need to protect it. Now, my commission did not call for zero growth, as many had anticipated. We knew that growth was needed to meet human needs and to overcome poverty. We did call for radical change and transformation involving all sectors of society, rich and poor countries alike. We recommended a global agenda for action. This was, and still is, the only way forward to protect planet Earth and humanity. Finally, in 2015, the world agreed on the Sustainable Development Goals, and months later in Paris, on climate. By then, not only did we accept that we are all accountable, but also that the goals must apply to all countries, rich and poor. The Millennium Development Goals that we decided upon at the turn of the century had only focused on developing countries. Now we have a global sustainable development perspective, a blueprint for action that we must all seek to pursue. So the old-fashioned idea, back from 1979, that the business sector is somehow exempt from being responsible is now finally buried in the past. Now all serious business leaders know that their companies are part of the solution and that their employees and customers do require positive and determined action for good. This last year, we have also seen young voices much more effectively raising their strong criticism and concerns towards those in power about our dramatically deteriorating climate, which is indeed threatening their own future. So status quo is simply not enough. Now, of course, that was clearly recognized in 2015 when the two agreements were made. And in that process, the private sector was part. And we know the private sector is pivotal, as are governments and all of civil society, as well as the world of sport. I want to particularly highlight the obligation and the opportunity of empowering women around the world. Because countries and companies with higher levels of gender equality have faster growth and better performance. And companies that support the empowerment of women within and outside their ranks will be on a stronger footing. And while we can hope that voluntary action by business will help us reach the 1.5-degree target, I believe it will not be possible without policies, regulations, taxes, and incentives that can drive such change. Now, throughout the 20th century, economic growth was measured by the accumulation of physical, financial, and human capital, without regard to changes in natural capital, and without taking social risks into account. In the 21st century, the goal must be a green economy, one that can generate economic growth and improvements in people's lives without harming the environment. And this is not a burden to be borne, it is an opportunity to be seized. It means taking advantage of the vast potential to increase resource productivity. It means investing in sustainable technologies that will create jobs and support the poor, improve health and education, and build more resilient and equitable societies. And it means minimizing risks while expanding prosperity. When my husband and I were flying into Seoul and driving up here to Pyeongchang, it was a very special experience. Because in 1988, a year after I had presented the report, Our Common Future, the competition to seek the Winter Olympics in 1994 was ongoing in its final stages as the Summer Olympics were held here in this country. The committee that was in charge of Norway's application asked me, as Prime Minister of Norway, to travel to Seoul before the final decision was to be made by the International Olympic Committee, then led by Jean Samaranch. I was to be meeting, in that case, with the President of South Korea and speaking at the Olympic decision-making event itself. I remember being given very conflicting advice, mostly negative such, from the people around me in the office and otherwise, given that in no way it was clear that Norway's application would succeed among several good candidates. In the end, it was a difficult decision to make. In the end, I said to myself this: Gro, it is better to be criticized for Norway not winning than to be criticized for not having even tried. My speech in Seoul was mainly focused on international cooperation, on the need to take care of our environment and to protect nature, on human rights and solidarity between nations, and of course the role of the Olympic movement and sports to be part of building a better, more peaceful world and sustainable development, which we had already started defining it. As I entered the Prime Minister's office, going directly back from the airport of Oslo, Samaranch was on CNN, opening a little white envelope, looking maybe a little surprised, I think he was, himself, as he read out, "The winner is Lillehammer, the whole city of the Winter Olympics nearly a quarter century ago, before the time it was held here in Pyeongchang." So we do share a great challenge, a great opportunity, and a wonderful experience. You know, when I led the World Health Organization around the turn of the century, I again saw the connectedness of the world, where a disease outbreak in one country could disregard borders and board an airplane to another, something we are reminded us of during these last few weeks. Now, just as I'm going to be concluding very soon, saying that though more than 3 decades on sustainable development, starting when I led the UN's World Commission on Environment and Development, I have seen the close linkages between people and the planet. For example, how we use energy impacts the air we breathe. How we treat women in society impacts the health of society. Whether we make quality education and health care available to a privileged few or to all, impacts whether our economies grow or stall, as well, of course, as it is a basic human right. Our world is now at a crossroad. One path leads towards greater and greater inequality, where children continue to be born into poverty and are denied opportunity. Another path leads towards a world where no one is left behind, where every person has the chance to seize the wonders of our world. And this is the world we want. This is the path to our common future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Gro Harlem Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, with her keynote speech. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences and also sharing your insight with us today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the next part of our program is a dialogue about peace. We are going to invite the 4 co-presidents to the stage, and we will have a dialogue about peace. Once again, a reminder that we will be taking your question through an application called SimFlow. So as I showed you before, there is a QR code that you can scan, or you can access our website to post your questions. So we look forward to your active interest. As you just heard, we heard about the importance of SDGs, and so this year at the Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020, one of the main themes that we selected is UN SDGs and peace. And so at this year's event, civil society representatives from 40 nations have participated, and they are now going to come together, have discussions to find ways to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals through establishing a cooperative system for international network. And as we heard, SDG 16, peace is a cross-cutting goal closely interlinked to other development issues such as poverty, human rights, and the environment. Aside from the United Nations SDGs and peace, we also have other key themes selected for this year's Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020. Those main themes are sport and peace, economy and peace, ecology and peace, and also public diplomacy. So through these four themes, the participants at this forum will come together and discuss ideas on how to build peace not here in the Korean Peninsula, but also beyond the Korean Peninsula. Well, I think we are ready. I'm now going to invite our four co-chairs to the stage to take their seats. Mr. Jim Rogers, Mr. Harold Jones, Ms. Gunilla Lindberg, and Ms. Lee Mi-kyung. If you could please come up to the stage and take your seats. All right, everyone is seated. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this dialogue on peace. I think what we heard from the two keynote speeches and also the speeches that were delivered in the morning is that peace really is the underlying foundation for achieving progress, development, and it seems that there are many different ways to achieve peace. And I think that today, with our distinguished group of panelists, we are well positioned to examine peace from different angles. Economy, public diplomacy, sports, development policy, as well as the UN SDGs. So without further ado, I would like to invite our co-presidents to give us a brief presentation and speech on the different themes that they are in charge of during this year's Pyeongchang Peace Forum 2020. And maybe if you could also briefly introduce yourself to the audience again. So we'll begin with Ms. Gunilla Lindberg. I have to apologize that we are a little bit behind schedule, so I will give each speaker 3 minutes to deliver their remarks. So I apologize. Ms. Gunilla Lindberg, if you could begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll try to stick to the 3 minutes, which is not so easy, but then I said I'm Gunilla Lindberg. I'm a member of the International Olympic Committee since 1996. I've been in sport in my whole life. I've been attending 25 Olympic Games in different positions, and my biggest, greatest experience was to share the evaluation and the coordination commission here from Pyeongchang 2018, of course, where I learned so much, and I want to thank again especially President Lee, the president of the organizing committee, and his team, and all the cooperation we had. It was not an easy way to get the games together. It's never an easy way, but you know, at that time also, here in Korea, it was some problems in your country. You had some political challenges, and to see how it ended is fantastic and something we should really remember. And that again is the power of sport. how we can unite through sport, through people, to get the borders away, to get our political arguments away, and just to focus on the joy of sport. And of course for the athletes it's also performance, but it's more performance. I mean, in sport you are fighting each other, but immediately after the fight you are hugging each other, and that would be nice if all the politicians also after discussions could hug each other and come to a common solution. And really we are working a lot, and I must thank Madame Brundtland of her speech and with all she has done for the women and the engagement of women in the society, which also now is a big effort from the sport movement, and I think we have a much better sport movement than we used to have, and that is also with the common cooperation. And I think cooperation, understanding, and friendship, opening borders is one of the main topics. So do you have the time? Do I have more time?
So actually, because we're pressed for time, I will come back to you. So thank you very much for highlighting the value of sports. All right, next, Mr. Jim Rogers.
My name is Jim Rogers. I don't have a job, but I'm extremely optimistic about the future of Korea. I'm very excited about what's happening here. Today, I asked some people about why this is not being done. The theme is peace now, and I kept getting people saying, well, it's complicated. Well, of course it's complicated, but it can be done. 10 years from now, there can be 19-year-old kids up there on the 38th parallel shooting each other because it's complicated. We could be spending staggering amounts of money so 19-year-old kids can kill each other. Or 10 years from now, Hanbando can be exciting, everybody can be prosperous, getting rich, having a wonderful time, or we can just say, well, it was too complicated back in 2020. You know, we can, in 10 years, all get on the train in Busan and go to Paris or go to Berlin, because it won't be too complicated. Or we can sit here 10 years from now and say, well, it's too complicated, the railroad is still there, but it's empty, nobody's using the railroad, it's just too complicated to make life better. My goal is that this is the last. Governor, I hope that this is the last time you ever have a peace conference here. I hope this is the last one, because I hope you solve the problem and stop letting people say it's too complicated.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jim Rogers. So I guess saying that things are too complicated is just an excuse. That's what you're trying to say.
Of course it is.
Yes. All right, we'll get back to you and try to think about ways how to address this complication and get some action. All right, next we'd like to invite Ms. 이미경.
안녕하세요. 코이카 이사장 이미경입니다. 여러분들 잘 아시다시피 한국은 원조를 받던 나라에서 이제 원조를 주는 나라로 성장을 했습니다. 코이카는 이 일을 담당하면서 개도국들의 평화와 번영, 인도주의적인 발전, 기후 위기에 대응하는 힘, 이런 것을 길러나가기 위한 노력을 하고 있습니다. 평창평화포럼에 와서는 굉장히 감개무량합니다. 평창평화포럼은 한국 사람들에게 그리고 세계인들에게 평화에 목마른 사람들에게 평화가 이루어질 수가 있겠구나 하는 그러한 열정을 심어 주었습니다. 우리 모두 평화에 목말라 있지 않습니까? 한국 전쟁이 발발한 지 70년이 되었습니다. 두 세대가 지나갔습니다. 이제 충분히 한반도에 평화가 이루어져야 될 때가 되었다 하는 것을 한국 사람들은 세계에 말하고 싶었고 세계와 함께 도움을 받아서 그 프로세스를 성공시키고 싶었다 하는 열정을 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 이제 2020년이 되었습니다. 2019년에 코이카는 평창평화포럼, 평창평화 정신을 계속 이어나가자 하는 그러한 다짐을 하게 되었고 2019년 평창평화포럼에 열심히 참여했습니다. 그리고 2020년 평창평화포럼에 주최하는 한 사람으로, 한 조직으로 참여하게 되었습니다. 한반도의 평화와 세계의 평화가 함께 이루어지는데 우리 모두 같은 꿈을 키워나갔으면 좋겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
Thank you very much. Next, yes. And next, Mr. Harold Jones, if you could maybe share with us your thoughts as well.
Yes, in the area of relationships and diplomacy, often we have problems because people are not treated equally. For example, why did Jim get a Coke and I only got water? I don't think that's equal treatment over here. I was a state legislator, I was a minority, and it was through a forum like this that I learned that Democrats and Republicans can work together and pass good legislation. And it was through that as a minority, I was able to get a number of bills passed in the Hawaii House. And from there, I was involved in other forums. I think for diplomats, forums like this are excellent. This is a model for the future. We also started a forum in Geneva called the Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy. And it's co-sponsored by the United Nations, a UNITAR. We meet once a year in Geneva, and we bring in 30 to 50 lawmakers from undeveloped countries of the world and others to have a public policy or a forum on public policy addressing different issues. And it's amazing when a person from India sits across from a person from Mexico, the things that they learn that they can take back, very, very helpful. But also, unity starts in the home. It starts what the children hear, okay? I'm going to give you a quick example that I hope you'll never forget. We work with the poorest villages in the world. We're working up in northern Kenya with a very neglected tribe called the Borana. We taught them how to use local resources, took them out of poverty. They saw success, which they made. That expanded to the cluster. That expanded to 50 other villages. Well, their neighbors, the Turkana, they saw this. They got angry. So they attacked the village. They burned down their houses. They took all their cattle and took it to their place. But in the process of teaching community-based development, we also taught the communities must be unified, and they do that by learning to be open-minded and to forgive. And so what did this village do that was attacked? The leaders got together through friends with leaders from the Turkana. They met together. They made peace together. They made reconciliation together. They had a celebration, and then World Vision and us got together and built them a peace windmill for water. And now they both get water from the same place. That is how quiet diplomacy, starting at the lower level, can work its way up to national impact.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. And I think what you just said also ties back to what Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said about the importance of educating children about global citizenship.
Yes, and SDGs. SDGs are critical for this.
Yes, thank you. Okay, because we are pressed for time, we have a lot of questions from the audience, so I would now like to maybe take this opportunity to ask each of a question. So first, we're going to begin with Ms. Gunilla Lindberg. So let's see. Oh, okay. So here's a question. If you look on the stage, you can see the question. I think it's going to come up. Okay, what more can the Olympics do to lessen focus on nationalism and increase its role in promoting peace and international understanding? That was one of the questions that we got from the floor.
The IOC and sport in general, I think on our agenda, it's of course sport, but we have so many other things, and one of our biggest thing is on the agenda is of course the promotion of peace. It's the Olympic values. It's to meet people without borders, as I said, and in our regulations we have that the Olympic Games is a place for the youth of the world to meet every 4th year without any discrimination, and we are continuing to work with this, and of course we have not reached the goal maybe, but that's one of our objectives. And I want to add that I think here in Korea, after the Games in 1988, you had your first democratic elections of the presidencies, so the Olympic Games here has had a lot of meaningful effect for your country, and the country has changed enormously since 1988. I had the pleasure to be here from what it is today, and if you can have the same change and the same discussions in your peace discussions for the coming years, it will be just fantastic. You will be a role model for other countries in the world. So we have peace on the agenda, we have relations, we have friendship, and we don't have any wars on our agenda.
Thank you for your answer. I guess Korea is maybe an exemplary example in showing, the benefits or the values of Olympic movement. All right, thank you very much. And then we're now going to move on to Mr. Jim Rogers. So the question about complicated situation and how this might make people a bit reluctant to take immediate action. So in a complicated situation like this, I think abstractly people understand, the value of connecting railways and all the investment that can, all the opportunities that investment can bring. But when the situation is complicated and people use this complicated situation as an excuse, like how do you address that? How do you untangle the web? Where do you start? Do you need private investors to come in more, or is it the government? How do you untangle the web?
Well, you asked a complicated question. To do this, first of all, it can be done by opening the 38th parallel. If you have a free movement of people and capital, things would change. It doesn't have to lead to a unified Korea, not immediately anyway. Once the people can go back and forth, you can let the North Koreans have whatever government they want, let the South Koreans have whatever government they want. This is an oversimplification, but change can happen. The leader of North Korea, President Kim, has said many, many times he wants to do for Korea what Deng Xiaoping did for China. It's not reported in South Korea, it's not reported in America, but it's reported other places. Let's let it happen. Let's let the North Koreans and the South Koreans have prosperity together. I can tell you how it can be done. It can be done fairly easily. North Korea can disarm, get rid of its nukes. South Korea can disarm and get rid of its nukes as well. It means you have to send the Americans home. But if you don't have war, what do you need the Americans for? If you have a peaceful, prosperous peninsula where people can come and go, nobody needs armies, nobody needs nukes, and this place can boom and prosper. It can be done very easily if you can just start thinking in new ways. If somebody landed here from Mars and looked at the situation and hadn't been living here for 67 years, the person from Mars would say, what are you talking about? Let's solve this problem. And it could be solved pretty quickly. It would cause some disruptions, People in Washington would have to think differently. People everywhere would have to think differently. But it can be done.
Yes, I think one of the speakers said, you know, we really need to take action and not just talk about the issue. So, thank you. But we're going to now move on to Ms. Im Hee-kyung. So KOICA, of course, is very much interested in promoting peace here on the Korean Peninsula. And one of the four main values of KOICA is peace, and is also actively trying to promote peace, not just only in Korea, but also in other countries around the world. There's a lot of disputes still taking place, around conflicts and disputes taking place around the world, and a huge demand for humanitarian assistance. So if you could maybe share with us some of the activities that KOICA is engaging in order to address these situations and to strengthen peace in different parts of the world.
네. 우선 코이카는 SDG의 비전 4가지, 전체는 5가지인데 저희는 People, Peace, Prosperity Planet을 코이카의 비전으로 삼고 있습니다. SDG를 만들어 오신 그로할렘 총리님 그리고 반기문 총장님과 함께 SDG에 대해서 얘기할 수 있어서 굉장히 영광스럽고 뜻깊게 생각을 합니다. 코이카의 비전을 이렇게 4P로 정해서 나가고 그리고 이행으로서 이 파트너십을 저희가 굉장히 중요하게 해나가는 것은 바로 세계가 함께 같은 골로 나가는 것이 매우 효과적이고 중요하다라고 저희들은 생각하기 때문입니다. 그래서 이 골 속에서 이 골들은 모두 다 서로 연결되어 있다라고 생각합니다. 피플의 주도성, 피플에 대한 중요성 없이 발전하는 프로스페리티는 매우 부족한 것이죠. 그리고 또 피플이 소외되면서 소외된 사람들이 있는 가정에서는 피스가 발전할 수가 없다라고 생각하고 또 최근에 나타나고 있듯이 이러한 지구 위기의 상황들이 특히 가난한 나라의 사람들에게 커다란 고통을 주고 있고 이것은 지금 초연결 사회에서 모두에게 또 재앙이 되고 있다 하는 점에서 개도국이나 선진국이나 모두 서로 굉장히 영향을 주고받고 있다라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 저희들은 이 모든 것이 함께 연결되어 있고 특히 이 사람에 대한 이런 지원들 이것이 바로 피스하고 연결되고 있고 디벨롭먼트가 같이 연결되어야지 된다 해서 국제사회가 함께 나가고자 하는 HDP 넥서스와 같은 것들을 어떻게 함께 연관할까 하는 데 대한 코이카의 계획을 짜놓고 같이 나가고 있다 하는 말씀을 드리고요. 그리고 서로 느끼는 것이 같을 때에 사업을 발굴하고 같이 만들어 나가는데 큰 영향을 주는 것 같습니다. 한 가지 예를 든다면은 저희가 DMZ에 38만 발의 대인지뢰가 매설되어 있습니다. 그래서 사람들이 드나들지 못해서 올해 70년 동안 사람들이 가지 않았기 때문에 또한 역설적이게도 자연환경이 아주 보존되어 있습니다. 그래서 문재인 대통령은 지난번 유엔 총회에서 이것을 그야말로 세계 자연 DMZ를 세계 자연유산으로서 우리가 키워나가자 이렇게 말씀하셨습니다. 바로 평화와 자연환경 이런 것들이 연관되는 것이죠. 이것을 보고 저희가 생각했던 것은 저희가 메콩 지역의 캄보디아, 라오스, 베트남, 미얀마 이런 지역에서의 불발탄 제거 사업에 UNDP와 함께 참여하고 있습니다. 그런데 불발탄만 제거하고 나면은 여전히 거기에 희생되었던 사람들 또 그 동네에서 발전되지 못했기 때문에 여전히 가난하게 살고 있는 사람들에게 바로 어떤 도움을 주지? 이런 생각을 해서 저희는 불발탄 제거 사업과 농촌 개발 사업을 함께 또는 지역